Ever heard of the passport brothers and sisters movement? It's causing quite the stir, but why? Well, let's peel back the layers and delve into this intriguing social phenomenon. At the heart of it all, we have the passport bros, a group of men, primarily from Western countries, who've decided to look beyond their borders for romantic partners. These men, disenchanted with the dating scene in their home countries, have packed their passports and ventured into countries like the Philippines and Thailand. Their mission? To find more compatible partners, often leading to marriage and starting families. Now, this wouldn't be a hot topic without a fair share of controversy, right? Enter the Western women. They've not taken too kindly to this trend. Accusations fly thick and fast with claims that these men are exploiting women who can barely speak English, taking advantage of their vulnerability. In a fascinating twist, these Western women, while berating these men, also express their displeasure when these very men find love in foreign lands. It's a curious dichotomy, isn't it? They assert that they don't want these men, but then, the question arises. Why the outrage when these men find happiness elsewhere? But wait, there's more. To counter the Passport Brothers movement, we have the Passport Sisters. These women, much like their male counterparts, claim to find love overseas. But there's a catch. While the Passport Brothers proudly display evidence of their successful romantic endeavors through pictures and YouTube videos, the Passport Sisters are yet to produce any tangible proof. Interestingly, many of these Passport Sisters reportedly travel to countries like Jamaica, but not necessarily for love. Despite this, Western women seem to turn a blind eye to these escapades. So, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's dive into the debate. First, consider the Passport Brothers. Why do they seek love overseas? Let's delve into the Passport Brothers' perspective. These are men who are driven by a quest for compatibility, a desire to find a partner who shares their values, their dreams, and their way of life. They found their match not in their backyard but thousands of miles away, across oceans and continents. Take a moment to think about it. Isn't love about finding that one person who understands you, who accepts you for who you are and who you can build a life with? The Passport Brothers argue that they've found just that, but they had to cross borders to do so. Their experiences with Asian women have been transformative, they claim. They talk about the respect, the understanding, the love they've received. They speak of connections deeper than language, bonds that transcend cultural differences. They share stories of women who, despite not being fluent in English, communicate affection, care, and commitment in a language that needs no translation, the language of the heart. And it's not just about finding love, it's about building families, creating homes. Many Passport Bros have chosen to start families abroad, nurturing relationships that are not just about two people, but about two cultures coming together. They've embraced a new way of life, a new family dynamic, and they argue that it's made them happier, more fulfilled. But let's not forget, every coin has two sides. The Passport Bros' pursuit of love and happiness abroad has not been without controversy. Their choices have stirred the pot, and they've found themselves at the center of a heated debate. The backlash is real, the criticism is loud, and it's not just from the Western women they left behind, but it's not all rosy. Their actions have sparked a backlash. It's a backlash that's led to the rise of a counter-movement, the Passport Sisters, but that's a story for another time. For now, let's remember that at the heart of the Passport Brothers' argument is a search for love, for compatibility, for happiness, wherever that may be. Western women are far from silent. They have their own perspectives on the issue. They argue that the Passport Brothers' pursuit of relationships overseas is not a story of genuine love and compatibility. Instead, they see it as a narrative of exploitation. They assert that these men are taking advantage of women who may not be fluent in English, who may not fully comprehend the implications of their relationships with these men. Western women's criticisms of Passport Brothers are rooted in the belief that these men are seeking relationships overseas as an easy escape from the challenges of relationships at home. They suggest that Passport Bros are avoiding the need to engage in meaningful dialogue, to compromise and to grow alongside a partner. Instead, they are opting for relationships where they perceive a power imbalance in their favor. The criticism extends beyond the individual Passport Brothers. Western women also question the broader societal implications of this trend. They ask, what does this say about our society's values? Are we okay with a narrative that suggests it's acceptable to seek relationships based on perceived power imbalances? This criticism, however, is not without its rebuttals. Some have pointed out that the Western women's perspective assumes that non-English speaking women are always on the losing end of these relationships. They argue that this assumption is disempowering and dismissive of these women's agency and capacity to make informed decisions about their own lives. But Western women are not just voicing criticisms. They're also taking action. They're countering the narrative by creating their own movement. They're challenging the notion that only men can find love overseas, and they're doing so by launching their own version of the Passport Brothers movement. In essence, they're saying, "We hear you, Passport Brothers, but we have our own stories to tell, our own journeys to embark on, and our own relationships to explore." And in response, they've launched their own movement, the Passport Sisters. Meet the Passport Sisters, the Western women's answer to the Passport Brothers. The Passport Sisters, a group of Western women, have emerged in response to the Passport Brothers movement. Their mission is to prove that they too can find love and companionship in foreign lands. But here's the catch. Unlike the Passport Brothers, who have documented their experiences with photos, videos, and heartwarming stories, the Passport Sisters have yet to provide substantial evidence to back up their claims. So, what's going on here? The Passport Sisters insist they're finding love overseas, yet there's no proof in the pudding. It's easy to say that love has been found, but without any tangible evidence, it's just as easy for skeptics to dismiss these claims as wishful thinking or even outright fabrication. In contrast, the Passport Bros have been transparent about their experiences. They've shared their stories, their struggles, and their successes. They've shown us that it's possible to find love and start families in foreign lands. They've opened up a window into a world that many of us may have never considered, and they've done it with honesty and authenticity. But what about the Passport Sisters? Why aren't we seeing the same level of openness and transparency from them? Their silence leaves room for speculation and skepticism. It also doesn't help their cause when their travels are often associated with short-lived escapades rather than the pursuit of genuine love and companionship. This disparity between the Passport Brothers and Sisters raises questions. Is the Passport Sisters movement truly about finding love overseas? Or is it a reactive attempt to compete with the Passport Bros? Without clear evidence, it's hard to say. And so, the debate continues. The Passport Bros and Sisters are locked in a tug-of-war of narratives and experiences. Each side claims to have the upper hand, but only one side has shown us the receipts. So, we have two sides of a hot debate. Who's in the right? This debate is complex, with valid points on each side. We've journeyed through the perspectives of both the Passport Bros and the Western women, and it's clear that this issue is far from black and white. On one hand, the Passport Bros argue that they're merely seeking compatibility and happiness in their relationships. They claim to find these in countries like the Philippines and Thailand, where cultural values and relationship norms may differ. They've shown proof of successful relationships and families, validating their journey for love. Contrarily, Western women express concern that these men are exploiting language barriers and socio-economic disparities. They worry about the power dynamics at play and the potential for exploitation. Yet, it's worth noting their stance against the Passport Brothers is not rooted in a desire for these men, but rather a call for accountability. In the midst of this, the Passport Sisters movement has emerged, with Western women venturing overseas for love. Despite their claims, they've yet to provide tangible proof of successful relationships, sparking further debate. Some argue they're seeking physical gratification rather than genuine connection, adding another layer to this complex discussion. At the heart of this debate are cultural implications and gender dynamics. It questions the extent to which our relationships are shaped by societal norms and expectations, and how these can be challenged or redefined. It brings to light issues of power, privilege, and the potential for exploitation in cross-cultural relationships. Looking ahead, the future of these movements is uncertain. Will we see a rise in international relationships, challenging traditional notions of love and compatibility? Or will these movements fade away, leaving behind a trail of passionate debate and personal testimonies? In the end, it's about individual choices and their broader impacts. As we navigate this globalized world, our choices in love and relationships become increasingly complex, influenced by a myriad of factors from culture to power dynamics. What's your take on the Passport Brothers and Sisters movement?